The SEC is starting to amend these S1s. So I don't know if the Ethereum ETF gets approved today, next week or the week after. It will get approved at some point in time. But also the trade now is who's next, right?
Exactly. Who is next? Because and I was talking about yesterday. Now it's almost time for truly my ETF, my blended ETF, of which which crypto asset it is. And so who is next, though?
I mean, I think you've got to think about Solana as probably the next one, right? I mean, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana are probably the big three for this cycle. But I'll give you even a stranger, or maybe not stranger, but maybe an unintuitive way to think about it, Robinhood and Coinbase. Because now we have some clarity about what a security is and what isn't. And they'll be able to list a lot more crypto, which means a lot more trading for them. So I think they're the biggest beneficiaries from the change that's gone on.
What is up, guys? Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. We got a bunch to go over today. So this clip was shared by Good Morning Crypto, CNBC guest predicting that the spot Solana ETF is next in line. And notice in that clip that XRP was actually on the screen, but it was never discussed. We did get some big news from Coinbase. Exciting news for our New York users. XRP is now available to New York residents on Coinbase.com. And right here we have Coinbase's chief legal officer saying XRP trading on Coinbase is available again in New York. We heard you and put in the work in strong partnership with the state, and now the word can be put out and we are back up. Now today in particular is a nail biter because we should be hearing from the SEC about the approval or denial for the VanEck spot Ethereum ETF. So I'll be keeping tabs on this. We're taking a poll, just curious what everybody thinks, and we can see just in the SEC chair, Gary Gensler says stay tuned when asked about the spot Ethereum ETF's decision. Now going back to January, during the multiple Bitcoin spot ETFs that were approved during the press release by the SEC, I feel like it came a lot later in the day, so I'm very curious if we're going to get our answer today. We talked about the Ethereum price chart the other day. In the scheme of things, we're still close to our 2024 high plus the all-time high price. So an approval of an Ethereum spot ETF in the US would have huge ramifications. We know that Hong Kong already approved a spot ETH ETF. And this would have huge implications, especially over the long term for the altcoin market. The higher Bitcoin and ETH go, the better. So we can see VanEck's deadline right here today, and then we can see a variety of others, including Fidelity and BlackRock for August. Now, we don't know if the SEC is going to deny it or if there's multiple delays for these other issuers, but what I do know is that one single approval for a spot ETH ETF in the US would create a domino effect. And this domino effect would affect assets in the top 10, top 20 for potential spot ETFs in the future. And it's important to remember that Bitcoin's market cap is over $1.3 trillion. Ethereum's previous all-time high market cap was around $570 billion. The largest and most adopted smart contract platform has never even reached $1 trillion in market cap. Next up, shared by Caleb and Brown and retweeted by VELO, we can see a new asset listing. VELO is now listed on Caleb and Brown. Now for US residents specifically, you may have received emails from exchanges like BitTrue and MEXC due to KYC regulations. And at least what I've read from MEXC, we're still able to withdraw our assets or any holdings on that exchange, but to be able to buy and sell, that will be removed in the future. So I bought VELO a while back on MEXC. You can store it in Lobster Wallet or Decent, just the mobile app that's free. And at least now I know I have an on and off ramp, especially in the future. So friendly reminder, I have Caleb and Brown linked in the top of the YouTube video description. If you use that link, you get a discount on all trading fees. I've been with them for just over 3 years. Plugged into a variety of exchanges and a variety of assets available, including Casper, Tau, etc. Next up, we have the XRP Ledger Amsterdam Hackathon taking place on June 8th, along with Apex taking place on June 11th. Next up, for API3, we can see their APY that auto compounds is over 42% right now, so full disclosure, this does fluctuate, but this is really high. We got some big news for API3 right on DeFi Llama. Their total value secured is officially over $1 billion. So that's really impressive. I know that we saw a little bit of price action, but we're still yet to create an all-time high price. And for API3, just think of it as APIs for Web3 or decentralized APIs. If it did have the market cap of Chainlink today, and Chainlink's not at an all-time high price, that would be a 28x. Around $80. And I'm not saying that happens, but I find it interesting because we know that Link has been a top performer in the Oracle space. It reached a full 34 Fibonacci extension. API3 has never surpassed its previous all-time high. And I know a full 34 Fibonacci extension like Link would be like $300. That would almost be like Q&T all over again. But just looking at it, I know we saw a bit of a retracement a while back in tandem with Link, but we've never seen it actually truly run like other assets, specifically last cycle, and we know they've been building nonstop. So I'd love to see an all-time high price in the future, or just a $1 billion or even $5 billion market cap. And I know people complain about tokenomics, but when you really just look at the market cap today, you look at its total supply. Now this is infinite, but it is gradual. It just doesn't happen overnight. This total supply is still a fraction of the total supply that Link has. And it's a real use case. It's connected to a variety of networks and data feeds in their building. So I'm always wishing APA3 well. They have a lot of partners. They've been building nonstop. We have Brad Garlinghouse right here discussing Gary Gensler, the SEC chair, as a political liability. My biggest wish in the future is just to wake up one day and have an SEC chair that's forward-thinking. Not just another political puppet looking out for the interests of Vanguard, Goldman Sachs, and these other large institutions. Instead of the SEC today having private meetings with SBF, not doing anything about it, not protecting retail investors, having multiple lawsuits, filing multiple Wells notices, crypto crashes, oh, you guys need protection, it's crypto's fault. No, crypto's not the problem here. We have a really good infographic here shared by Constellation Network highlighting the volume of data that's created and replicated worldwide. Ripping and replacing current infrastructure isn't the way to go. Current code support and DLT to scale is. We have Crest Network, the Canary Network for Peak Network, that's live. As we're waiting for Peak to launch on exchanges, we can see that we just did, even from these candle bodies, a casual 100x. Followed by a pretty large pullback thus far, wick to wick, just around 84%. We're going to see where the bottom is for this bad boy. I'm keeping tabs on Crest Network. I believe its market cap is still very, very small. So we can see total issuance 100 million, with 54 million in circulation, and then just checking it out on CoinMarketCap. Next up, a few things for Casper. We can see a new listing for Casper on hotcoin.com. I'm not familiar with this exchange. We also have Casper.build that's now live. The ability to manage user access, ability to edit all keys and user records, and the Casper.click key now requires a link to the Casper.cloud key. So now builders can manage and modify settings. Also saw this new commercial shared by the CMO over at the Algorand Foundation for Algorand if you want to check this out. We have shared right here by Anthony Scaramucci over at Skybridge Capital. He also did retweet the Algorand commercial that I just talked about, highlighting SALT connections in New York, and we can see Ralph Kubli of the Casper Association on stage. We're going to finish up today's video with a very important 3 to 4 minute clip shared by Rekt Vojak of Ralph Kubli of the Casper Association discussing tokenization. Really good information here. Ralph has really good ties throughout Europe, and English isn't his first language. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll catch you in the next one.
What areas of tokenization do you see that's going to take off, and why is real-world assets a useless term?
Look, so clearly the market has decided that tokenization of cash and cash equivalents is a key aspect of this future infrastructure, as well as fund share of tokenizations. The reason why I personally don't like real-world assets is it's a very broad term. It could be anything. And as far as I know, we only have 3 categories of assets living on balance sheets. These are financial assets, tangible assets, and intangible assets.
How can a step change in performance of systems happen when you think about blockchain and DLTs?
Look, I'm very excited, and everybody is, about shared ledger technology, right? When you listen to Larry Fink, actually, in January, he has a very profound vision how this technology will impact capital markets. In my opinion, however, what is missing is the logic of the financial contract. The logic of the financial instrument needs to be machine readable and machine executable inside the tokens.
How should non-financial firms be thinking about tokenization, or what opportunities can tokenization offer non-financial firms?
Look, I'm very excited about tokenization for several reasons. One is I do believe that in the future, CFOs of large non-financial firms will drive tokenization. Why is that? Because think of blockchain technology as an assurance layer. So in the future, they will be able, these large non-financial firms will be able to represent and illustrate assets on their balance sheets, which today they cannot.
What would an example be? Like a real estate firm as an example? Where would these use cases make the most sense?
So think about a tangible asset. So think about inventory, finished goods inventory, which in the future will be verifiable with blockchains, and then it can be collateralized. Or think about an intangible asset, like a patent or a trade secret, which you can account for in an immutable database, that's what the blockchain is, and then also collateralize that asset.
Well, let's talk about blockchain in terms of governance. Why do you think that's required when it comes to AI governance for companies?
Yeah, so large companies, or any company actually, is using AI today. So you have regulatory push, both in the US as well as in the EU, to document what you're doing with these models. So blockchain, again, as an assurance layer, and here is Casper specifically well positioned, is needed to ascertain what are you doing with the model, prove that the data that you have fed the model is the data that you're representing to the regulator. Or think about it when you're in a B2C environment and suddenly you have a chatbot go crazy on you. You need to document what happened to that chatbot, and what better than an immutable database, a blockchain, in order to illustrate that.
So tell us about some of the work that you're doing at the Casper Association. Where do you fit within this ecosystem?
Yeah, sure. So the Casper Association represents basically a layer one, so a protocol, a blockchain, and we're building, applications, or the community is building applications. In the case of AI governance, we're building that together with IBM. So Casper Labs is building that with IBM. In capital markets, we're building that with banks and infrastructure providers for settlement, for example, that use our blockchain in order to tokenize financial instruments.
Because I'm sure just like cybersecurity reporting is a mandate for public companies now, or will be mandated, I would imagine some of this is going to start to be part of the reporting as well.
Yeah, so we're very bullish on the AI governance use case, also because we're building it with a company that is well established, IBM. So the exciting part there is that soon companies will have a tool that will allow them to document what they're doing in the AI space with their LLMs, what kind of data is there, do version control, just all the things that they're already doing today with normal software.
If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description, with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.